Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Thursday, June 18th edition of the Auburn Zoning Board of Appeals. We have quite an agenda on this before us this evening, so I'd like to get started right away. Our first application for 7 o'clock is a continuation. It's Ms. Gloria LaBeouf, trustee, requesting a special permit under section 3.2.2.1 and 9.3 of the Auburn zoning bylaws to allow two-family occupancy use on the property located at 514 Rochdale Street, Auburn, Mass., map 52, parcel 7. The applicant present.
Yes, the applicant is present.
Could you reintroduce yourself for the record, please, sir?
Yes, my name is Bill Ritter, and I represent Gloria LaBeouf, who's the applicant.
Okay, so if I recall correctly, at the last meeting, we had a question regarding some discharge from the existing building in terms of some Title V issues, is that correct?
Not exactly. There's never been any discharge issues at the property. What happened was we had submitted a Title V report to the Board of Health.
Okay.
But Darlene had been on vacation and hadn't had an opportunity to review it.
Okay.
In addition to that, they also wanted to check with the building department there was some electrical work done at Gloria's house for about $100, which was inspected and I believe approved. There was also some nominal plumbing work done at her house for about $1,500, which I understand has been inspected and approved.
Okay. Before we continue with the board, I have to ask also, I'm sorry, is anybody recording the meeting this evening? Hearing none, seeing none, okay. So if I can refer to Mr. Moody first. Caleb, can you give us an update?
All the construction work inside the home has been inspected and approved. Darlene did attach a letter on the Title V report. I think there was some concern about how the Title V report passed when there seems to be more bedrooms than the system is designed for.
Okay.
I think that's the main sticking point, is the number of bedrooms and the number of bedrooms the system's currently designed for.
Okay, so do you consider this something that would be restrictive in terms of the decision this evening? Is this something that needs to be continued again to determine the Title V issues?
I think the applicant either needs to have a system designed to meet what's there for bedrooms, or they need to reduce the count of bedrooms currently at the property.
Okay.
We fully intend to do one or the other.
Okay.
Whatever the board's pleasure is. What happens is the building department has concluded there's 5 bedrooms, but in reality there's only 4. One of the bedrooms is a paneled cellar area, which is used for storage, which we indicated to the Board of Health we were just going to unfinish the basement, which is not a problem. So it's an issue of 4 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms. Darlene's letter suggested that we do some type of calculation from a registered professional engineer. And so when the letter came out, our septic expert was on vacation, so we've contacted a couple engineers to do that calculation. So we're either going to do the calculation to conform to the 4 bedrooms or just make the property a 3-bedroom house.
Okay.
And make the alterations consistent with the building department's requirements.
Do I have any, Mr. Chicolo, do you have any questions from the applicant?
I'm wondering where that puts us now. If we were in the same position we were in the last time, not having anything definitive in front of us, you know, as far as if we had that calculation, then we could, I know from my point, we could make a decision, and as you said, you would conform to what our pleasure was. We'd be able to cite what that, you know, what that would be.
We were just unable to get that. I think the calculation requires potentially a perk test and the digging up of some of the septic systems. So we were unable to get it done in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
So we'll certainly know by the next meeting. I don't want to keep putting this off
Sure.
as an inconvenience to you folks, but we'll certainly have a decision on which route we're going to take, and that can be incorporated into a decision.
Okay.
I think that might be the best choice,
I believe so.
so that both parties will be on the same page.
That'd be fine.
Mr. Cussy, do you have anything for the applicant?
No, that's good. The Board of Health says 30 days. You have to respond within 30 days with either a plan on the septic or you're going to reduce bedrooms.
Yes. We've already contacted an engineer who I think has been in touch with Darlene this week or last week to get exactly what she wants for the calculation. I have a feeling that the expense of hiring the engineer doing the perk test and digging up some of the septic system might not be worth the effort. And Mrs. LaBeouf is fine with a 3-bedroom house. So whatever alterations are required.
Ms. Roach, any questions or comments? Sorry?
Guess not. No, I guess I just want to clarify, so for the next meeting, you're going to have the work completed, or you're going to have the route in which you're going to proceed determined? Just so we're all on the same page, so we're not in July saying, okay, great, good route, now do it and
No,
come
well, I
back.
expect we'll have a definitive plan that can be incorporated into a decision if it's
Okay.
going to be to make it a 3-bedroom house. We will have some sort of plan with the building department about what exactly needs to be done to conform to that requirement.
Okay, I'm good.
Ms. Blaze?
Nope, that was my question too, so.
So the issue I have with this, so I just want to be clear, you're deciding on whether or not we're going to make this a 3-bedroom home or a 4-bedroom home?
A 4-bedroom home or a 3-bedroom home, yes.
Right, okay. So the option is to reduce bedroom or increase size of the current Title V septic, is that correct?
Or the calculations might show that the current system supports a 4-bedroom house.
Sure, okay, and I understand that. The issue I have with this here is that we've been going over this for several months. At some point in time, a permit was issued for an approved expansion of the home. After that, a kitchen and a bathroom was added without the issuance of permits. So I think my concern here is that I want to make sure that the septic system is going to be appropriate for 4 bedrooms. I just don't have faith, and I mean this with all due respect, that if a 1-bedroom is reduced, that it's not going to change down the road and they're just going to add it back after all this whole issue is completed. And I understand I can't predict the future, but I have to base my opinion on what has taken place in the past.
Right, there's other ways, and that can be handled too, which I suggested to Darlene. There's an Title V affidavit, which is commonly used, which is essentially a restriction on the property, saying the property is only good for a 3-bedroom, which is recorded at the Registry of Deeds, which puts notice on to the world about the limitations of the bedrooms, which is commonly used in Title V matters.
Okay.
And I provided an affidavit to Darlene as a suggested methodology to resolve it.
Sure, okay. Just for a formality, is there any abutters present that'd like to speak?
Good evening, members of the board. I'm Attorney Michael Patnam on behalf of William and Janet Keeler. If the matter is to be continued, again, I would just reserve our further objection rather than taking up any of the board's time at this point.
It does appear that will be the direction we'll be heading in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so do I have a motion on the 7 o'clock applicant?
Motion to continue without prejudice.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Continued till, it will be July 16th. Thank you very much.
Yeah, those are the small. Only allows 3. 3.
Yeah. You have that middle thing back.
So we have a few minutes in between. Do I have a motion for a brief recess? We still have about 7 minutes before.
Motion to recess?
Second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we're going to go into a brief recess until about 7:15. We have to keep the times on schedule. So, brief recess. Okay, welcome back. Do I have a motion to reconvene out of recess?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so our 7:15 applicant is Isan Godes, requesting a special permit under section 4.3.5.1 in an aquifer zone 2 and a variance under section 3.2.6.3 for light vehicular and equipment sales of the Auburn zoning bylaw to allow retail sales of used vehicles on property located at 481 Washington Street, Auburn, Mass. Map 57, parcel 163. Is the applicant present? Could you approach the lectern and introduce yourself, please, sir?
Motion to open the hearing?
Yes, I'm sorry, can I have a motion to open the hearing?
Motion to open the hearing?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. My name is Mo Azizi. I'm the engineer on records on the proposed plan that you see in front of you. And I'm here representing Mr. Gotz for seeking the board's approval for a special member as a special permit under the reference section of the bylaws, and also variance for their use retail auto use retail place business. The main reason that Mr. Gotz basically trying to propose the additional business is, number one, is try to supplement the income for the business, especially located between two other gas stations with much more resources. Mr. Gotz trying to add this business, again, in a very limited version, just to be able to, again, supplement the business of the current business that allowed over there. As you can see, based on the size of the existing lot, the existing use, or what was developed or allowed under the current use, is very minimal. Basically, the whole backside of the lot is not touched, and Mr. Gotz does not have any plan to basically develop anything that was already developed and allowed, as is, that you can see on the plan. Reference to the existing condition, as you can see, the lot is already paved. We're not proposing any physical changes as far as the features, existing features to be changed. All we're asking is to be allowed that, those parking spaces that's already been assigned, delineated in the lot to be used in a very limited manner for basically asking to be allowed to put 10 cars, retail cars, for sales. There's not going to be any permanent signing. There's not going to be any physical, as I say, physical changes to the remaining of the lot, in addition to what's allowed for the use as current use.
Okay. I think I'll start over this side. Ms. Roach, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I'd like to know what's the hours of operation. Are they going to change or be the same as what they are now?
Would be the same.
You want?
If you could just approach the microphone, please, sir, and introduce yourself.
Good evening. I'm Ehsan Gotz, and the operation would be the same hours.
Okay.
I guess my other question would be, in terms of what's stored on the property, obviously there's already gasoline there. Does the store currently sell like oil?
No,
Other things that would be used for the
would-
maintenance of the cars that are then going to be there?
there would be no repair or anything done at the lot.
No repairs. Okay. I think for now that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Cussy?
No, I'm okay with it. I like the fact that we can exit onto Elm Street. When people test drive or whatever, everyone's not pulling out on the 20. I like the fact that we can go out onto Elm. And I do agree with, business has struggled there in the past with, the competition and all.
There has been a few changes last few years.
Yeah,
Open, close, and they all had a struggle to live.
right. So I can see that you need to, extend your business a little bit to try to survive. So, I'm good with it.
Thank you.
Like it.
Okay. Mr. Chicolo?
I just want to clarify something that Ms. Roach asked. You said you don't sell oil. If somebody needed a quart of oil for their car, you don't have that inside?
We do sell oil in the store,
Right.
as it is now, but we're not going to make any additional sales of oil or anything else.
Just a plain quart of oil on a shelf as you have?
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
And to reaffirm, there'll be no repairs done of any
Absolutely
cars
not.
there? You strictly just sell them. Now, with the cars parked in the array that you have them here on the proposal, will you be looking to install any lights at all? You're going to keep the same lighting?
The same. Everything would be the same.
Now, you're proposing this, but you also are going to be having to go to the selectmen for the license and likely the planning board. I'm just saying that, I'm not sure, but I think likely the planning board. And you're all set with having to do that. You have to get the license to sell anyways.
Yes.
From the selectmen.
I do have to go through them.
Yes.
I have to apply through the selectmen
the first
office.
Is there any thought from any of the other members, well, whether they'd have to go to the planning board on this because of parking spaces that they're going to, will those parking spaces be delineated?
The parking spaces is actually delineated as is right now. We just
Okay.
basically, instead of, nobody actually parks in there. If you, 99% of the time, the business, the way it's set up is people come in, gas up, get up, and maybe grab something and just leave. They're not those parking spaces that's already delineated. 99% of the time, there's nobody there. And to confirm what one of the members of the board indicated, the lot looks like there's nobody there from, if
Right.
there's nobody gassing, it just looks empty, for
The
that.
reason I brought up the question of the planning board is because of the other two spaces you have where people exiting the pumps are going to have to go right by those two cars.
Yeah, the existing, you're talking about the customers' parking spaces that's shown on the northerly side,
Well,
north
the
side?
two spaces for auto sale cars,
Yes.
if you leave the pump or the store, you're going to have to drive right by those.
That's right.
And I don't know if they're going to have a question of whether somebody is walking around the car,
Yeah.
looking at the car, and people driving right past there. I don't know if there'll be a question. I just want to throw that out so that
I
you're aware of
appreciate-
it.
So maybe these two cars that are back here?
Again, the lot, we haven't even, the reason that you see the way that the layout is, we try to just use what the existing layout delineated already.
Right.
We can change that, those two cars could be anywhere on the parking lot or switch over, the location of the dumpster can be changed if it requires that those two parking lots be changed to a better location. As I said, the lot is just, we got plenty of choices. The reason it's shown, the way it's shown here is we try to limit to be, minimally even changing the location of the delineated parking spaces that's shown on the plan already, as it is.
And there's still plenty of parking here for
Exactly, right.
customers also. I mean, there's plenty.
And to reaffirm, there are going to be no signs that you install?
No, sir.
No signs and no lights, that permanent signs or permanent lighting because of this business.
You said you've just thrown the word permanent out. That brings up a whole nother subject.
You will see signs, probably what you usually see on the cars,
On the windshield
on
of
the
the
windshield of
cars?
the cars, yes.
But no sign
No
that's going to be affixed to a
no,
building, from a
no.
building to a pole, or anything like that?
Nothing
No
like that.
banners?
Yes. I just wanted to, the reason, when I say permanent,
Okay.
means anything physically dug out or outside of where the cars, but there would be signs probably right on the cars indicating the price and, for sale and stuff like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions?
Set.
Okay, Ms. Blaze?
I do have a question. So you'll have no more than 10 cars for sale at one time, correct? No
Yes,
more?
yes,
Okay.
that's the maximum that we're requesting the board to approve.
And what are you going to do about security for those vehicles overnight? So there's no additional lighting or anything you're saying, so you're going to just leave them there?
What do you mean by security?
Like, there's no fence or anything up around them, or no...
The area is pretty much visible, is on site, on Main Route 20, it's open, so people coming down the hill and up the hill, and they would be, it's very, and again, there are businesses on both sides.
Right.
And whatever if an area, from what Mr. Horst was saying, that, the area is pretty safe because there's a lot of businesses around and a lot of traffic.
Okay. So you're not going to change your sign to say, whatever gas and auto sales? You don't plan to change that now? Okay. How are people going to know you're selling them? Thank you.
Okay. I just have a couple of questions, actually, for Caleb. Technically, this is still owned by, I think it's Lee Mills Petroleum Incorporated out of Jericho, what is it, Jericho, New York?
Lehigh Gas.
Right, okay, so is it going to be required to have any code updates before he opens this? I know sometimes when gas stations change hands, they're required to be,
They've had all the inspections. They sided the outside of the building, replaced the roof. They did minor improvements just to bring the building up to code.
okay.
The only question I would have on the auto sales is whether they're going to be washing vehicles on site or not.
Right.
Because it's in the Aquifer 2 zone, so that would be a concern.
So, but from your point of view, you're satisfied that the building, all the tanks underground, everything is up to code currently?
Yes, everything's been inspected.
Okay. So that does lead me to my next question. How you plan on detailing and washing and, preparing your cars to present for sale? Because this is an aquifer protection district, and we really are very restrictive on water runoff into that area.
I don't think there is any faucets or anything that they can be used as to wash out around the building, what I'm saying? So the whatever the cleaning and the spraying of the water outside in the lot would be just limited to what the use is as current use. It's not going to be, as you mentioned, having hoses drag out and try to wash these, cars while they're staying. That's why I originally said, even though we were requesting special permit and variance under what the zoning bylaws call for, this is a very limited version of it, and we understand that this is the site is very restricted, so. What we're asking is just physically the cars could be set there, as so people can come in and take a look at it. And if there is any repairs, any cleaning, any detailing, the cars need to be removed from the site and be done by a professional place.
And I'm just going to ask for the record also, do you plan on obtaining these cars for sale through an auction process, through a return lease company? How do you plan on obtaining the cars for resale?
Painting the car?
No, how do you plan on getting the cars that you're going to sell?
From the
What will be the sources? So it'll be the auctions? Okay. One of the concerns I have is because of the range of vehicles being used, the quality of the vehicle has potential for leaks, those types of things.
Yes, what?
If it's an older vehicle of less quality, it might be in need of repairs. It might have leaks. Those are the things that I'm a little bit concerned with. Obviously, I know that it's an impermeable surface, but I think one of the things, for me, if we grant the permit, I would like to see some type of spill containment kit on site, just in the event there is some type of
It's not a bad
leak.
idea.
Reasonable.
And they're not expensive. A spill containment kit is something that's basically,
In case of emergency, yes, I've dealt with those.
Yeah.
They're very simple, very cheap to
Exactly.
have a mandate in case.
they have absorbent cloth, they have different
Exactly.
types of materials.
I don't
that
think
will
that's going to be an issue at all.
capture.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Now, being a gas station, would that, the drainage and all be suitable to catch?
And again, with this being an older building, I'm not sure it's necessarily up to today's standards. It was certainly built to standard at the time the building was. That's why I was
Right.
asking Caleb.
Okay.
I'm certainly confident with Caleb's comments that it's satisfactory and sufficient. Any other comments or questions?
Good.
No.
Do I have any abutters present? Hearing none, seeing none. Do I have a motion on the floor for the proposal?
Motion to grant based upon our discussions previously in this district, and that the zoning within this aquifer district is being looked at. So under that basis to grant the variance, and with the stipulation that no repairs will take place. I'd like that, to see that on the granting.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
I think the spill containment kit should also be a condition.
Yes, I agree.
Add that to it.
Ms. Roach? Do you agree, yes, no?
I would agree, yes, I'm in
Okay.
favor, aye.
And I'll also be in favor, aye, so congratulations. But what we'll do, we are going to put restrictions that will make sure there's no repairs on site, that you are limited to no more than 10 cars, and that you'll have a spill containment kit available at all times in the event there is some type of necessity to use it.
Thank you very
Okay?
much.
Thank you.
Good luck, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right on time. Nice. Okay. Our next applicant is for 730 Torrey Champagne, requesting a special permit under section 3.2.2.1 and 3.2.2.10, and a variance under section 9.3.6.2 of the Auburn zoning bylaws for an accessory apartment located on property at 29 Warren Road, Auburn, Mass., map 39, parcel 54, and this also is a continuation from last month's.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. For the record, could you introduce yourself again, please?
Yeah, I am Torrey Champagne, and I'm the property owner at 29 Warren Road.
Motion open.
Oh, can I have a motion to open?
Open hearing, motion?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you again. Can you just go over and refresh our memory, please, as to what you're trying to accomplish?
Sure. Purchased the property back in December, and it had an existing accessory apartment that was already part of the property, and we realized that it was not recognized by the town, so that's why I came before you before. The property meets all of the regulations, two means of egress. It has its own driveway. It was inhabited for about a decade by a previous tenant that was not on record with the town. At this time, we've had Mr. Moody has come by the property and has inspected it, and that's what brings me back here today. We are looking to rent the property, and I am the homeowner, and I live on the other side of the property, so I will continue to be there as the landlord.
Okay. Ms. Roach, you have any questions?
Well, I think I'd want to hear from Caleb, just if he...
Sure.
He went
Okay.
there.
Yes, I performed an inspection. Everything seems to be up to code. It's in good shape. They have ample parking for the unit, separate driveway. The only request I would make is that they get a certificate from the fire department for smoke detectors and CO detectors prior to occupancy. But I have no issues.
So you said you'd look for, what, hardwired heat and smoke?
It's just a certificate from the fire department that they have working smoke detectors
Right,
and
okay.
COs.
Okay. Ms. Roach?
No, I think I asked all my questions last time.
Right.
I'm good.
Okay. Ms. Blaze?
No questions? No.
Okay. Mr. Cussy?
No questions.
Mr. Chacolo?
No questions.
Hearing none, seeing none. Do I have a motion on the floor?
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve a special permit under section 3.2.2.1 and section 3.2.2.10, and a variance under section 9.3.6.2, with the added condition that the fire department issue a smoke and carbon monoxide certificate prior to occupancy.
Okay, I'm just writing that down. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Congratulations, sir. Good luck. Just, you'll have to see the building inspector, and you'll also have to make arrangements with the fire department to get that certificate. And that would probably be prior to getting the final paperwork from the code enforcement department.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Good luck.
Okay, so
For a little-
we have another 10-minute window that we have to wait. Do I have a motion to go into recess?
Sure, I'll make a motion to go into recess.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
In recess for about 10 minutes. Okay, we're back from recess. Do I have a motion to convene the meeting?
Motion to reconvene.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so our 745 applicant is Paula Flynn LaValle, requesting a variance under section 3.2.6.5 for commercial recreation of the Auburn zoning bylaws for the operation of a cheerleading training facility on property located at 189 Washington Street, Auburn, Mass. Map 35, parcel 12. Is the applicant present?
Yes, the applicant present.
Could you step to the microphone and introduce yourself, please, sir?
Good evening. I'm attorney Patrick Flynn. And I'm here on behalf of Paula Flynn LaValle, who's here doing business as Spirit Central.
The name of it is Spirit Central?
Spirit Central, that's correct.
I like it.
And can you give us an overview of like what you'd like to accomplish?
Sure. My client is, if you can't tell by the name, Spirit Central, in the business of basically recreational and competition cheerleading in a training facility. So if you're not familiar with this, I happen to be very familiar because my daughter at one point did this. And so it's a very involved process, and it's a very popular sport for young children, boys and girls. And they've been operating this business now for some years, basically out of Webster. They have outgrown that facility, and they are looking to move to Auburn for several reasons. One is growth. Not only the facility they're looking at is larger and can accommodate the growth that they've had over the past years. Also in terms of demographics and location, it is preferential to be centrally located for this area based on the teams, the parents and the families that they're encouraging to get into their program. So that they're here tonight. They found a building on 189 Washington Street is the address, and there is some question as to the zoning process for the use. Right now, most of these cheer gyms, so to speak, are in a very much what you would consider to be a commercial type building, a commercial warehouse building, and that's needed because of the space needed for the actual performance of the stunts. There's a big spring mat. You may have seen it on, if you haven't seen it live, you may have seen it on TV on a Saturday on ESPN. You often see these programs. They use a very large springboard mat. They need the height for the ceiling height. They can't have beams in certain places due to safety. So the building itself needs to be specific to their needs.
Okay.
And so generally, where they are going to be, where they're looking at 189 Washington, is basically a commercially zoned area which has this type of building, which is needed for their use. But I guess the question is whether or not this type of what they would call, would you maybe classify as commercial recreation to be used in this area, which I don't believe is allowed under the current standings. And so that's really what they're looking for, is the variance to allow that use.
Okay. Ms. Blaze, do you have any questions?
Not yet.
Okay.
Let's hear a little bit more.
Ms. Roach?
I do. What's the current use of the building?
I believe at this point it's vacant, if I'm not mistaken. At some point, it has been marketed as almost as a warehouse building. At one point, it looks like it was a company by the name of Keystone might have occupied the building. I'm not sure.
Okay.
It looks like, from what I can see from the pictures that I was, from the marketing materials, it was previously used as a storage warehouse or some sort of facility operating more of a general business out of there, using these large bays, using box trucks. So it could be maybe set up for warehouse or deliveries or things of that nature.
Okay.
And then, what would the hours of operation be?
So the hours would vary. During the summer, they run some summer programs, which are during the daytime. Most of the other hours are generally, I guess what you would consider after school or after work, generally from the time, say, like 3 o'clock to sometimes 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. Yeah, sometime in that ballpark. Some of the older, to fit all the schedules in the classes, some of the older girls and boys will practice later, given their, age appropriateness.
It looks like from the picture that we have from the aerial shot that parking clearly would not be a problem.
There would
you
not be an
agree?
issue of parking at all. I mean, generally, what you have for parking there is for people using, it's mostly a drop-off pickup. A lot of the younger parents, parents of younger children, I should say, there's usually a view area they'll be able to go in and they kind of watch from, they're not in the gym, but actually outside of the gym watching. So those are some of the cars that would stay, other than that, it's just coaching and any staff that's there.
Okay, and last, is the petitioner looking to rent the property, or she's looking to purchase it?
They're renting it.
Okay.
This is part of a lease.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay. Mr. Cussy?
No, I think it suits the property pretty well.
Okay.
I like it. It's low impact, and it's a nice use for the building.
Mr. Chacolo?
I do, thank you. The hours of operation, you said, would extend to 10 o'clock at night at times?
We'll just give you a more direct answer on that.
Hi there. I'm Paula Flynn LaValle. So most of the time, we're only open until 9. We may have an adult team, which happens some years. Adult is like 18 and over. In some cases, that would be 10 o'clock, but that would be a one-night-a-week thing. That's not something we do very often. We don't really want to be there till 10 o'clock at night either.
Now, the reason I asked the question is because my thoughts are that these are going to be younger girls that will be there. Sometimes boys also cheerleading. Outside, during the winter months, it's going to be dark. Is there sufficient lighting for them outside?
Yes, there is. It's a very well-lit area due to on the outside, I believe there's several lights that are set up from the business that had been there before.
Has Caleb inspected the property at
I
all?
haven't inspected the building.
Yep. Most of the pickup and drop-off is done either inside of the building or immediately outside of the building. This isn't something where you're going to have kids outside waiting around unsupervised. It's just, it doesn't really happen in this day and age anyway.
Sure.
But especially during the cold winter months, I can just I tell you just from personal experience, my daughter shows up there, and every time I pick her up, I say, "Where the heck is your jacket?" You know, they're running basically in and out. Most of them are staying inside, especially during those darker times when it's dark out. Most of the girls are waiting inside, waiting for their ride to come. Parent usually, and a lot of times, to be honest with you, most of the parents will come in during pickup because they like to sneak a peek of their kids and what they're doing in the program. So there's very little actual time where they're going to be outside or have any issue with that.
Do you classify different classes by age?
So,
If you do,
yeah, we could.
and if you do, will there always be adult supervision there?
Yes, there always is. There's always coaches. So there's many coaches per. Each team usually has 1 to 2 coaches plus assistants, and those are all adults that handle the program. There's many different classifications of teams, and that will depend from year to year on the talent and skill level of the kids that they have. So the team, one level may encompass age 9 from 14, depending on their talent level will determine what group they would be in.
Being that this was used as a warehouse, are there appropriate sanitary facilities there?
I believe there is space. There is 2 bathrooms, which would be plenty. Plus, I believe is there additional space there for office?
Yeah, there's office space, and there's office space in the building, and we would have viewing area space, so like a parent room where the parents would be waiting for the kids. That's where they would pick them up. And there's an office space. There's like a kitchen area that we'd probably use if we're going to do a birthday party or something like that. But it's mostly open warehouse, but one end of the building does have offices.
Mr. Chairman, if the variance is granted, I would want to see the building, the lighting, the grounds, and the inside, because there are going to be younger children there. I would want to see our inspector just give it the once-over and the good housekeeping seal of approval.
If I may, we would inspect, myself and the fire inspector would inspect before issuing the occupancy permit.
It's fine if it would go
Once
through,
this is
if it
done,
would
then
go
they would have
through
to-
your office to them, that's fine, as long as it was fully well inspected. One other thing I do want to say is that your request for a variance, in that area, we as a board determined some time ago that area and the because it was in an aquifer overlay district, we had to take a second look at that because it was being too restrictive for what was being asked of us. And because, strictly speaking, on a variance, you couldn't show me that the topology of this area put a hardship on you, and that would have been one of the requirements we were looking at. But just so it's known that what you're asking, we have already decided that we needed to look at that type of zoning for that area, because granting licenses or zoning based upon the zoning was, I would say, legitimate. So that's why I personally would say, yes, I think we could, for my part, I would grant the variance.
Okay. So I'm just going to ask some general questions if I could, and I'm trying to do this for the purpose of the folks at home also and for the record. So this is what I would characterize as sort of a cheerleading gym / cheerleading academy, perhaps, where they're going to go and begin the stages of it and possibly even advance for many years.
That's correct.
So I know you had mentioned the sport of cheerleading, and I do follow it a little bit because I have a daughter. So has it been recognized nationally as an actual sport yet?
Yes, it has.
It has?
Yes.
Okay.
It is, so there are ways to do it, but under Title IX through colleges, there are children, young women who have received scholarships
Okay.
to go to school for that.
Great. I'm actually glad to hear that because I know with the advancement of the sport and some of the injuries the girls can sustain can be pretty serious.
If you actually, I mean, again, having a daughter at home, I did this firsthand, the abilities that, what she can do, what you would think what cheerleading is or was maybe we grew up with, this isn't even close. It's like, I would like to call, it's almost like a combination of traditional cheerleading, gymnastics, and dance.
Right.
And that's the best way to describe it.
And at your current location in Webster, I'm assuming, and again, just for the record, that you have all applicable safety equipment on hand that you're going to transfer over?
Yes, all of the equipment is regulated, it's all safety, all of their instructors are trained to meet certain criteria that the gym requires them to attain before they can work with any student or spot any student or anything of that nature.
You answered my next question. So what is the governing body of cheerleading then? What would be called?
Paula, speak to that.
Yeah, go right ahead.
So for us, because we do what we call all-star cheerleading, it's the United States All-Star Federation, so there's a set of guidelines. We have to become a member in order to compete at the events that they host, which is pretty much every all-star cheerleading event at this point. So they're located in Memphis, and we have to have a certain criteria. So all of our staff have to be quarried, and all of our staff have to, have credentials and all of this stuff. Same thing with, I know someone asked about, will the kids be supervised? So we're required to do certain ratio of adults to children.
That was my next question.
Depending on age. So the older kids, it's, like 12 to 1, which we normally have teams of 20, so we always have 2 coaches with that, sometimes 3. The younger kids, it would be 8 to 1, so if we have, 20 kids in a class, we'd have to have 3 instructors. When they get younger, we overdo it. So like if we have even 6 kids that are 3, 4, and 5, we usually have 3 instructors anyways, just because they're little, and it's really hard to get my staff to handle all those little ones, you know what I mean? So we kind of overdo it, but we are required, there's so many requirements, it's very, very strategic, and there's been obviously a lot of issues in the past 15 years or so with cheerleading, so they've gotten really strict with us. So we have to follow all those rules.
And so you said all of your instructors are certified, they all have to go through a Corey background check, correct? And all
correct.
Those that you currently employ, all that is up to date, all the Corey information and everything?
Well, we're in the process of hiring a couple, so those, obviously, that takes time. But before they actually work with kids ever on their own, they would have to have done that. But we have, every staff we have except for 2 right now. And it's because we, there was a facility in Upton that was doing a sublease of our name. They were just basically operating as, it was like a trade agreement. And that program closed, so we got their staff along with their kids, which is why we need the bigger facility as well.
Sure.
So those are the people that we have to make sure are up to date, because they weren't as strict as we are with doing everything. But everybody will be, for sure.
And you are obtaining that information through a website? Are you going to the local police department? How are you obtaining that Corey information?
Oh, we have to do it through the All-Star Federation. So in order to be a credentialed coach, you have to do it through them. So you apply online, and they give you the green light or the red light, which
Right.
thankfully we have all green lights, but.
And the reason I asked that is because I have a background in law enforcement, and I'm wondering if somebody from Tennessee actually has the ability to access a full Corey background check in Massachusetts. I think the state itself is a little bit restricted.
It goes
in
through
terms
Massachusetts, because it's just, everybody uses it's called K&K Insurance, and everything goes through them, but they basically do gymnastics and cheerleading for the whole United States. Most gyms, even, I'm trying to think what's in Auburn, not a lot, but Jaguar Gymnastics, which is right over the line, and R&R Gymnastics, most of those programs are use K&K Insurance, and so you do it through the All-Star Federation because you get a discount, because K&K will run everybody through the whole country. They'll do the background checks for you, but they
Sure.
do it through Massachusetts. It just so happens that we go through the All-Star Federation for them.
Great. So you had mentioned that there's a small kitchenette in there. You might plan on doing some birthday parties. Is that something you'd like to add to the business model itself?
No, from time to time, we do have a party, you know, we'll have, we do a lot of traveling, so we might have a spaghetti dinner, we might celebrate a birthday with a child. We do have a program that runs during the day with toddlers sometimes, where we just do, you know, it's basically more like constructive play than it is cheerleading, but we do that, so sometimes they have birthday parties there.
Okay.
So that's something that we would do, but they bring in their own things. I'm assuming you're going to ask about food, but we're going to have vending machines for the food and beverage, and then parents would bring in cupcakes or whatever they decide to do for a child's birthday.
Okay. And now that you brought that up again, I'm just asking for my own knowledge and the folks at home that are listening. Is anybody ServSafe certified on your staff by any chance?
What is it called? I'm sorry?
ServSafe, that's related to the food handling?
No, because we don't really do it right now.
Right.
We have the vending machines, but
Well, the reason I asked that is because if you have people bring food in, you have certain regulations and restrictions
Okay,
about
good to know.
allergies, different things like that.
Yep.
And it's certainly not a requirement. I cannot see that as part of your necessary business plan, but it wouldn't be a bad idea. It's a one-day course, like a CPR course type of thing.
Good to know.
It's pretty inexpensive. You go there, you take a 50-question test at the end of it, and they give you a 5-year certification. And all it does is guarantee that somebody on site is able to handle food properly and make sure that there's no allergen issues, those types
Oh,
of
good.
things.
Okay. Good
So
to
it
know.
might be something you want to consider in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
So would you be drawing from, say, I guess like Holy Cross or any of the local colleges that have cheer teams? Do they?
We
would
do
they
have
use your
cheer
facility?
teams come in from, we have a lot of, we work with Auburn High School, we work with a lot of the local high schools. They come in and do just the gymnastics portion, just the floor tumbling portion with us. I've worked with Holy Cross. I work with so many high schools in the state that they come in sometimes. Sometimes we go out to them.
Okay.
Same thing with colleges. We worked with Assumption, we've worked with Worcester State, we've worked with, different years, different coaches, depending on what they need. But
Yeah,
we could be, absolutely.
okay.
And it's a great central location for us. That's really what it is. We have a lot of Springfield customers, believe it or not. There's no competitive cheer gyms in Springfield. So we have people, Auburn's ideal for that. So that's why we looked at this town.
Interesting. So if you were going off-site, would you be using your own van or would the parents transport individually? Or would you say, put 10 kids in a van and go for a ride?
Yeah, we
to
don't bring
wherever?
the kids out
Okay. Oh, you
of
don't?
the
All right.
facility. The parents meet us at the competitions.
Okay.
So when we compete, like we compete at the DCU Center or in Providence or in Hartford or wherever we're competing, parents meet us there with kids. So we don't really transport kids.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
The staff meets there, same thing. So we don't have a vehicle or anything like that we use for the kids at all.
Okay, just for the record.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any further questions, or did I cover it all?
She's got one.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Ms.
So
Blease.
would you be hosting any competitions in-house or like recitals or things like that where you would have
No,
more people?
I would love that to be the size of the facility, but it really doesn't. We use Marlboro High School a lot. It just happens to be a school that's affordable, and even that you grow out of with a competition. You really do, at this point in cheerleading, need a big venue. So, if we did anything like that, we would rent a school, and then that's the way we do it, just because it's too hard with parking, and you need bleacher space and all of those things. So it's just too hard to try to put parents on the floor, and you're talking 100 teams come to a competition, so it gets really big, yeah.
So if you have 100 teams to a competition, how many people attend something like that? I mean, we're talking
I don't even know sometimes. It's
thousands?
Thousands. You
Really?
can't imagine how massive some of these.
Wow.
Yeah, there's competitions with 1,000 teams. We go to one in Atlanta.
I've learned quite a bit in the last few minutes, I have to say.
My niece cheers
If you really want,
competitively,
if
yeah.
you really want the experience, go to Atlanta second week of February and try to keep your head straight because there's about 70,000 people down there
Wow.
plus. There's a convention center there. that's World Congress Center. I don't know if anyone's ever been, but it's about, if you've been to the DCU Center, to the convention hall part,
Yep.
it's about 15 of those separate on one part of it. And when you walk from competition to award site, it's about a 1.5 mile walk indoors to go to. It's absolutely amazing. And then, but it is wall to wall people. It's amazing. It's craziness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds exciting.
It is for the kids love it.
Do we have any abutters?
And the dads love it too. We love it too. The dads love it.
Funny. Okay, so anything further you'd like to add?
I think we're all set at this
Okay.
time.
Do I have any other questions from the board members?
I just want to know if the questions that were you asking for your daughter, or do you have aspirations?
It could very well be a dual motive.
You know, there is an adult team, Mr. David. There is an adult team. You can, from time to time.
I just find it very interesting, actually, and I think the opportunity to educate the people at home, educate the board members, this is something unique to the town that we've never heard of before. So I think just have the extra few minutes to you know, kind of dig into it a little bit. So I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we have no abutters present, I take it? Okay. Do I have a motion on the floor?
Motion to grant the variance. I would like to see a condition that it will be inspected by either our inspector or the fire department, or both.
Yeah, you could simply make a condition that an occupancy permit be issued prior to opening the business. That would require an inspection.
And I assume you'll be going before the Board of Selectmen for a license anyways.
That's correct.
But motion to grant with that condition.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, congratulations. The only thing we are going to put for restrictions is that we'd like to have the building inspected, the bathrooms inspected prior to the occupancy permit being issued. Also, I'm going to request that the Board of Health just do a walkthrough and inspect your kitchenette area, with the hopes, honestly, of giving you a plan if you ever did want to present food in the future. It might be something to look into. It's certainly not being restrictive. I think it's just the opportunity to start at a good, fresh base. So, and I'm sure they'll be able to coordinate that and get it all done at the same time.
Great.
So, congratulations, good luck.
Thank you.
Welcome
Thank
to
you.
Auburn.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so just for the record, for that permit, we will have the previous inspection for the occupancy permit to inspect the bathrooms, make sure the facility is sound, and then we'll also have the Board of Health walk through that kitchenette area to determine the long-term goal for that.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay?
Yep, sounds great.
And, let me see here. Right on time, well, a few minutes, not too bad today. So our 8 o'clock hearing at 8:07, we have Habitat for Humanity, Metro West, Greater Worcester, requesting a comprehensive permit in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40B, Sections 21 to 23, for the purpose of construction of two single-family attached homes, also known as a duplex, on the property located at 4 Homestead Ave, map 24, parcel 206. And again, this is a multi-continuation hearing.
Motion to open the hearing?
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Great. I'm Tim Ferment, Executive Director, Habitat for Humanity.
Yes, sir.
Metro West, Greater Worcester.
Okay. So, just for the purpose, because we had a couple of members that were not here, they did watch the videos, they did sign stating that they are up to speed on terms of what you had going on in the hearings. But if you wouldn't mind just giving us a brief overview to bring everyone sort of up to par?
Sure. Yeah, the parcel that we're working on at 4 Homestead was donated to us from Bank of America. It was a single-family residence that was not suitable to rehab, and we had it torn down with a demo permit given by the town. We've been in front of the Board of Selectmen to get their initial support, not approval, but support, as well as Police Department, Fire Department were involved at that point in time. We've been in front of DHCD, Department of Housing Community Development, to get what's called a letter of eligibility. And what that means for the town is that these two residents will count for subsidized housing units inventory for the town of Auburn. So that's important. And the other piece of the 2 units being a duplex, that one of those 2 units will qualify for local preference. And by that I mean that the local residents police department, teacher, et cetera, would be eligible for that unit. We build our houses handicap accessible. These two units are designed to be aging in place. And by saying that, it means that there'll be a bedroom on the bottom floor, along with all the amenities they need to live on the bottom floor with only bedrooms upstairs. So these units have no garage and are laid out on a lot to maximize the lot usage, and therefore we propose the zero lot line by having the duplexes together. That's one of the variances that we ask for. So, it's our position that this 40B project is consistent with local needs, and that it also meets the master plan, 2006 master plan, put together for the town, and the long-term housing plan for the town as well. And that, in our opinion, this outweighs any local concern that may be there. And I think more importantly, in our opinion, we submit that any health, safety, environmental concerns are both met by the design and layout. You can see by the waivers and on the site plan that we're very careful for the side setbacks. I know there is concern by neighbors. We are within the setbacks on the side. Of course, we're not between the units because of the zero lot line. Any conditions that may be considered to be imposed, I only ask you not to. It will impact the economics of the site. So more importantly, it will impact grant money. We do have grant money coming from FHLB, Federal Home Loan Bank, that is contingent upon it being a two-duplex. We have LIP approval in process or in approval. LIP is the local initiative program that's required by DHCD, so that's in hand along with the letter of eligibility. So any changes to that will result in both the lack of grant money, the cost of reapplying for LIP approval, starting all over again with attorneys, and then more importantly, if we did decide to do 2 units, the cost of finding a second site, the land cost, development cost to do 2 sites, which this affords us to do with the economy of scale. So, as we develop this, the letter of eligibility, as I said, is now in place, and collectively, we meet the subsidized inventory needs as required by 40B. So we request approval of 6 waivers as laid out in the application, and respectfully submit the application.
Thank you. Ms. Roach, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay. Ms. Blaze?
I do not.
Mr. Cussy?
I went by the site again today and looked at it, and I did notice that there is a 2-family on the street already, and abutting the property, it looks like a 4-family. So there are multi-families in the neighborhood.
I agree.
Which, when I walked the lot, I looked at the boundaries, the sidelines. They do have the 10 feet on the sides, which is, what is required. And the depth of the lot, it's deep. So, there is a backyard, and we do have to start working towards getting our 10% of 40B. So, I'm in favor of going forward with the property.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chacolo?
No questions.
Okay. So do I have a motion on the floor for this particular application?
I'd make a motion to grant.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so because this was a long drawn-out process, I'm going to do a roll call type vote. So Mr. Cussy, I have a yes. Ms. Roach, obviously I have a yes. Mr. Chacolo, your vote?
Opposed?
No. And I'm going to vote yes. So the measure passes with our current quorum of 3-1. So congratulations, sir. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Things go well.
I look forward to having you on site to help us build. The local preference will be very exciting to get a local family there, to get it handicap accessible. We're working with veterans as well, veterans in needs. Not sure how that's going to go with DHCD and the pool that they require, but it'll be a community build. So I thank you for all that discussion we had, and look forward to seeing you on site. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Congratulations.
much.
Great, thanks.
Motion to close the hearing?
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So on to some
Housekeeping?
housekeeping and paperwork, yes. So if you'll notice with the decisions I submitted, I just want to make sure that all the folks at home also know this. Instead of doing a full narrative decision, I've done a summation style, which is acceptable. It cuts down about 5 pages of paperwork for myself. And also what it does is, because we are being recorded now, I think that stands firm for the record, and we also have minutes. So rather than me actually writing out a complete timeline style decision, which I think could has the possibility of, honestly just having some mistakes and opening it up for a question of accuracy, I think it's a better method. So provided you all approve of that, that's the way I'll go forward with those now, and that's what we have before us this evening. I think
Totally
actually
fine.
They were emailed to you, correct?
Totally fine.
Okay.
With me.
Okay. Any other comments on those?
All good.
Okay. So we have the signatures for decisions for 844 to 848 Southbridge Street, Marco Rosa, 9 Westchester Ave, William Sharon, and 460 Southbridge Street, TD Bank. Here you go.
I mean, except you can't sign now because I stole your pen, but
I think I actually have another one.
that's excellent.
Always come with 2, just in case it runs
That's
out.
what too. I like how they put this sign here. No. I don't think I have to sign this one. This note's pretty specific. I don't think I was here for this.
You were not here for that one,
Okay,
correct.
all right, so this is,
Good call.
yep. I get a little crazy with my signature there. That's just fun. And then this is you, right, when it starts?
Yes, that's right.
Paper, money,
Pay the bills.
pay the bills.
Yeah. That one's yours right there. That one's already been signed. She can't sign it, she wasn't here, so she can sign that one. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, already signed it. It was just awaiting yours.
Advertising, yep, okay. Sharon, TD Bank, yep. Great, that's all set. So with that being said, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, thank you very much.